Let's see.
Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. Give me 1 second, I've got a little bit to do. Welcome to the stream, Corwin. Not too bad, kind of slow, but busy at work. Ooh. Yeah, work. All right. So, welcome to the stream. Today we are going to be continuing working on our axe head. So today's goal is to kind of get this guy ready for forge welding on Wednesday. So the first thing that we're gonna do is kind of work on this guy. We're gonna chamfer in, or I guess we're gonna upset in some of these like round sections. It's really out there. So I want to flatten this out just a hair, and then we're going to chamfer it down so that it creates a more smooth and even transition between the axe or the body of the axe and the bit of the axe. So and then once we're done with that on both sides and cleaning this all up, getting it ready for that forge weld, what we're going to do is we're going to start working on this piece right here. This is going to be our bit for the axe blade. So this is a section of a lawnmower blade, and what's great about this is it is actually made out of 1080, which is a high carbon steel. It's not quite as high as like a 1095 tool steel that you would use in Damascus, but it's high enough for our purposes. So what we're going to do is kind of shape this, flatten it out. It's a little bit bent still from that lawnmower purpose. And then we're going to upset it down so it's a little bit thinner. Right now it's pretty long too, so if we were to affix this straight to our axe, it'd just be a little bit too long. So we're just going to kind of shape this. I am planning on cutting off the edges of this thing so that it's not going over the axe. but I do want to make sure I have enough bit in order to have a good secure connection. So that is what we're doing as far as blacksmithing itself today. I have this lovely glove on because over the past couple of weeks I've had some issues with my thumb. So this is a compression glove. I'm wearing it when I can, but I can't use the hammer with it because this is a synthetic cloth. So if I get any scale or anything on this, it will melt to my hand, and I don't want to see that. So we're probably going to get rid of this when I start really getting into the forging section of today. So welcome to the stream, everyone. Good evening, Sandwich. Hey, Corwin. I was a little bit, or I'm running a little bit late as far as getting things ready for the stream today. So I'm going to need to change the propane tank to the brand new one that I purchased this morning. So before I can get started with the, or get the forge started. But before I do that, I finished the raise sign. So now instead of just a smithy, we are raise smithy. So I'm really excited about how this turned out. It's not exactly perfect. There's a little bit of jank. The letters aren't quite as even as I'd like them to be, but they're about as good as I could do by hand without using a laser cutter. So I'm going to plug this in and show you guys what that looks like. So hopefully that looks all right for you guys. I hope you like it. I think it actually did pretty well as far as the reflection of the light and being able to see behind the light behind those letters. Oh, that looks pretty good. So it looks like we are on ad time right now. So I'll talk a little bit more about what's going on with it in just a bit once that ad is over. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. And the video will be out, or on how I made it will be out on Wednesday. So I'm looking forward to it. I suppose I probably should be changing the propane tank as the ad is going on, but I want to talk a little bit more about the sign before I go about doing that. In case I need to like mess with it some more. Yeah. I don't really want to get behind there while the forge is going because it's really, really warm back there. All right, looks like the ad is done. So this is my favorite of the lighting effects that this guy has. It has several different ones. So we've got that one. And we got that one. I don't know that I like this one, you know, the flashing lights. But yeah, there's some really cool ones in here. Now, I have not set this up to work with the app for my phone that's supposed to work with this guy. But I will get that set up here in the next couple days, and hopefully I can make it so that you guys can play with it. Or at least you can tell me to play with it. So I'll leave it on that for now. Now we need to pimp the smithy to match. We definitely do need to pimp the smithy. I want to clean up the area a little bit better, clean out the cold shop so that I can keep those doors open and we can kind of play around in there. I want to move some of the more, the grinders and the drills and things like that over there to that side of the smithy so I have a little bit more floor space to work with. So I hope you like it. I did my best for the moment. We'll leave it like that for a while, and then sometime in the future, I'll remake it, and we'll see what we can come up with. All right, so now I am going to turn on. Well, I'm gonna flip the propane tanks, and then we're gonna turn on the forge. Whoops, I'm turning this all the way on. Smart, smart. All right. Yesterday I did some beauty shots with our hammer, and so I was using the mailbox. So it's not even hooked up to the right forge. So today's propane tank, once again, is sponsored by the stream itself. And yeah. All right. So I am going to take off my glove because we're going to start the forge and I don't want it to melt. Like I said, it's synthetic. Not amazingly great near heat. Alrighty. Move the fan over just a little bit. Makes it a lot easier to turn this thing on. Come on. There we go. We can struggle a little bit. That's all right. And there we go. All right, so I got a new set of headphones. Pretty excited about them. Yay, I can hear myself. So I got tired of my partner borrowing my headphones, so I got a new set. Now I gave my white set to my partner. Now I don't have any weird antenna coming out of the side of my head. So, always fun. Put the steel in. Yay! All right. yeah, I'm pretty thrilled about what's been going on recently in the world of Ray's Smithy. We're making some good progress and things are starting to happen. So I'm pretty excited. Today I hit 250 subscribers on YouTube, which is really exciting. 50 more, and I have reached the threshold for the first monetization on YouTube. I do still need the time viewed. Um, the first monetization is 3,000 hours viewed and 500 subscribers. So we're getting real close to the subscribers. Now we just need more time watched. So I'm really excited about that. We've got some really great material that is going to be coming out over the next few months because we've got our trip to Ohio and then we also have our trip to Memphis. So hopefully those catch on and we get lots of views from that. And, we're going to continue to stream and we're going to continue to post our videos on YouTube as well as Twitch. Last Friday, we reached our 260 follower goal, and that is also amazing. I am so grateful to you guys as well. So we have upped the bar once again to 270 followers. So hopefully we can get that one too. So I am super excited, guys. So Wednesday is going to be a coal forge day. So I'm going to be using the big old coal forge that we made on stream, and we're going to be using that to forge weld our axe to the bit, and I'm really excited about that. This will actually be my first time using the coal forge on stream by myself. So we might have a few kinks on camera placement and how I'm able to move the cameras, and hopefully we can get those worked out really nice and easily. I will give you the best view possible. There's also a chance. Okay, so it is also going to be the forge welding stream, and I have not forge welded in many, many years. This will be my first time forge welding since coming back into the shop last winter. So I'm probably pretty rusty. I'm a little bit nervous about this Wednesday because it will be the biggest obstacle on whether or not we can finish this project successfully, or whether we have to start over again and try again. I'm not afraid to fail necessarily, but it would be nice to succeed the first try. If we do fail on this one, we will have to start from scratch, I think. I'm not sure that I will be able to fix my errors. I think it depends on how catastrophic the error is in these forge welds. So I will do my best, and hopefully I will have a birthday miracle, because it will also be my birthday stream. My birthday is Thursday this week, and so we will be celebrating on Wednesday. I'm really excited about it. Super excited. Maybe not so much about getting older necessarily, but having something to celebrate. It is always amazing to have, to mark another year of growth and joy on this planet, I guess. So yes. Let's see. So I guess I've already gone over what we're going to be doing today for today's stream. Like I said, we're going to be upsetting those curves. We have some really severe curves on both leaves or both sides of the axe right now. And I want to upset those back in a bit so that we don't have a weird bite mark and an uneven transition between the bit and the axe itself. And then we are going to taper that down so that we do get a pleasant and flush transition. If we don't actually taper down the edges, we will end up with a bit of a gap between the bit that sticks out and the jacket of the axe. And I don't want to have to grind as much. So if we end up with that the gap, I guess, it will take a lot longer on the grinder. So we're going to try and prevent that with as much or as much as possible by tapering off the edges. This is a very U.S. thing. Over here, you would have to celebrate on Friday. It is said to be bad luck to celebrate before your birthday. Oh, okay. Because you kind of celebrate something before it is finally achieved, probably from time when surviving another year was less expected than it was lucky today. I suppose that's true, but here in the United States, a lot of people actually celebrate for their entire birth month. So, you know, my celebrations could have started on August 1st and gone all the way through the month. A lot of people will do that, or like a full week. I'm not going to do that. And really, the reason that I decided to celebrate on Wednesday instead of on Thursday, on Friday, is because we are going to be out in the carport doing the special, Coal Forge stream. So I thought that was a little bit more celebratory, I feel like. So, it is what it is. I've considered myself, 39 for all summer, really, since probably June, just so that I can get used to it, because 39 is one of those like kind of scary numbers, or I guess it was at first. 39. That means I'm not a kid anymore, but or at least when I was a kid, 40-year-olds were always like, oh, they're old people. And now that I've gotten here, I know that I will feel just like the kid I feel like now. So, I don't know. It is a little bit intimidating, but, it is what it is. And the next milestone is the next milestone. So, just keep on keeping on, and let's keep going, So today, as just like the last few times we've streamed, we are under a heat advisory, and we will be streaming for as long as possible today. I have lots of water that I can drink, and I've got Gatorade cooling in the fridge. So we should be able to make it to the 2.5-hour mark, but there is a chance always that I just start sweating too much and I just can't keep hydrated. If that happens, I will have to end the stream a little bit prematurely. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that does not happen. But I gotta make sure that I, save my kidneys some stress. So, let me take a look at the pieces of steel. All right. Not too bad. A little bit, maybe. I think it's close enough. All right, let's do this. Let me start up the record function on the close-up camera so I can get that. And I'm just going to flip my camera just because I'm back here. Whoa. As I trip. All right, it should be all right. Maybe I will, what is happening? Sorry about that jarring movement, guys. Alright, let us do this and that. Alright, let's see if we can do this. what we're going to do is we are going to push some of that tip back towards the center area, and then we might actually pull some of the material on the edges outward. We really just want somewhat straight and get rid of some of that curving. So back in the heat. Let's see. I heard that the topic usually takes top places in any cultural differences list you find. If you say happy birthday to a German the day before their birthday, they will politely, or not so politely, reject it. A usual ceremony is to celebrate a birthday. The party is on the evening before the actual birthday, but there are no happy birthdays or gifts before midnight because only then is it finally the birthday. I mean, that makes sense, but I'm also like, well, technically, wouldn't it be like you'd have to wait until like the hour that they were born? So like I was born at like 8 p.m., right? So wouldn't that mean that on Thursday at 8 p.m. that's like my official birth time? So I mean, I don't know. I feel like at some point you have to draw an arbitrary line or, you know, be really, really technical. So I don't know. I mean, tradition is tradition, and it, you know, it's how you grow up. Light one up. Welcome to the stream. You were born at 6 a.m. Yeah, that's really early in the morning. I imagine that your mom was probably up all night with you. So my mom was up really early in the morning and working on pushing me out all day. So I don't know what's better, you know, all night or all day. Being technical is something we are really good at over here. I mean, I feel like there are people who are really rigid on technicalities everywhere. Yeah, can't imagine. I don't know. I'm a dude. I mean, I can't imagine either, and I'm a lady. I don't have any kids, so, you know, I don't have that experience under my belt. All I can say is thank you, Mom, for, you know, having me, giving me life. So she has a normal birthday. I do have a normal birthday. I do not have a dragon birthday. I don't know. Part of me wonders, you know, when you would consider a lizard to have a birthday, you know, when their egg comes out of, you know, their mother or when they hatch out of the egg. And I think if I were going to give them a birthday, it would probably be the day they hatched. You know? Because there are so many things that can happen to an egg before it hatches that would, you know, make the baby not viable. Whatever biology you have, looking at the size of the baby's head and the size of the opening just means ouch. Well, there are totally mechanisms for that, but, you know, I'm not going to get too terribly into biology here. So, yeah. I am, however, going to do another heat. We are going to continue upsetting that curve back so it's a little bit more straight. we're starting to get there. All right, more heat. So this actually should take quite a bit of today. A good half of the day I have planned for cleaning up the axe to make it a little bit easier to grind in the center area that's going to need to be forge welded together. But before I do the forge welding, I will be running our piece through the angle grinder and probably the bench grinder as well, just to get rid of all of the scale, all of the little air pockets, and any imperfections in that surface, so that when they make contact, they are flat, clean, and ready to fuse. Sea turtle eggs in Florida have to be protected from raccoons all the time, or they get eaten before they're born. Yeah, there's a lot of animals that that are like that, where they need to be very protected. Otherwise, they won't survive. And some of it is like, you know, the animals themselves are protecting them, but also there are a lot of species that need human protection as well. Welcome to the stream, Mahalo. Hi, Ray. Hi, Smithy. Yes, welcome. So today we are cleaning up the axe jacket. I'm going to call it an axe jacket because this right here is going to be the axe blade. This is a piece of a lawnmower blade. So, you know, when you've got your lawnmower and it's got this like cutting blade, I cut this off of one of the old lawnmowers that we had laying around. This was a really dull blade, so it's not like I stole a blade that needed to be used. But yeah, according to the junkyard metals table, this is actually 1080, and so this should be a relatively nice high carbon bit that will give us a nice sharp blade and a nice hard blade that we can use for our axe. So we are going to put this in between the two sides of the axe when we fold it together and forge weld this in the middle. So I need to clean this guy up, kind of reduce the width of it a bit, and increase this height. It's only about a 1/4 inch-ish, you know, like, I don't know, 3 millimeters, maybe 3 or, actually, I think it would be more like 4 or 5 millimeters. So I really want to double that if I can manage to do it. So I really want to work on making this a little bit easier to weld in there. I like Ray Smithy sign. Yes. Some call it a sling blade. Cool. Yeah, I was able to finish it. I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. So I didn't actually have to put any like plastic or acrylic in there. The shiny mirror finish of the back side was able to start reflecting those LEDs that were hitting the back wall. So it's spreading out the colors really nicely. And I think it worked out pretty well. I am a little bit less happy with how kind of wobbly some of the lines are, but that's because I used I hand cut, well, not hand cut, but I cut it with a jigsaw. And so it was a little bit on the wobbly side. So I think the next time I go to attempt this, because I'm not incredibly satisfied, we're going to live with it for a while, but I do eventually want to remake it. And I am considering, you know, going over to the makerspace and seeing if I can get one laser cut for the next attempt, I guess. So that is the plan for me, at least. We'll see what we can do with it. Is the purpose of this to enable the forge weld or to provide a harder cutting edge for the final axe, or both? It is actually both, right? So 4140 is a medium carbon steel, so it's hard enough that it's going to retain its shape and soft enough that it's going to allow a little bit of bounce, and it's going to relieve a bit of the pressure onto the handle. But a lot of times steels don't like to affix to themselves. So adding a bit of a different material kind of sometimes will help the weld stick a little bit better. Now that is not something that I'm sure about for 4140, as I've never worked with it. I don't know for sure if I need a bit, but I kind of feel like our axe is going to end up being a little bit short after it's folded. So I just figured that we would put a bit in so we can give it a little bit more length without thinning it out too badly at first. So it's a little bit of A, a little bit of B. You should just claim the wobbliness was a design decision. I mean, my partner said that, we are a learning community, and so a little bit of wobbliness, a little bit of error is good for the piece. And it kind of exemplifies the stream a little bit. So, I mean, I think it's all right, and I can live with it. But it is not quite what I envisioned, I guess. Ads. Ads. So, like I said, it's really hot. I've got the fan going on me relatively directly, but also off of the face of the anvil. So I'm hoping that I can retain the heat in the axe itself while maintaining my cool equilibrium as much as possible. But, ads are A's. Yes. Yes. So, but yeah, I don't know. Lots of stuff. I'm really excited today. I'm really happy that I was able to put the sign up today and actually have it there. I mean, it's close enough to what I envisioned that I'm pretty happy with it. I'm all right with it. I will say that there's a little bit of piece of me that almost the sign, the Ray Smithy sign, almost reminds me of like when mom puts your kindergarten drawings up on the fridge. A little bit. Because everything's just a little bit, it's a little bit imperfect. Welcome to the stream, Christy. Working in a smithy in the high summer. Yes, exactly. It's part of the process. Step 1, be bad. Step 2, learn. Step 3, fix. Then find a new problem to be unsatisfied with. Yes, exactly. And I mean, I know that that's the case. And so that's, it's something that I want to address eventually, but I feel like I need to get a little bit better before I readdress it. It's like when how it started, how it's going, you got to have a little bit of time to get yourself a little bit of a distance and a nice difference in your skill level. Actually, it could be a design decision. The smithy part is also not perfect on purpose. Yeah, the smithy part is not perfect on purpose, and I was trying to, create a different design for each letter, and so it's like a smithy font almost. So I feel like I need a few more letters though, so that, you know, I can create a full font. I don't have all 26 letters. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do a full font one day where we'll just like create letters in, you know, in the steel. All right, I'm gonna do another heat. Alright, so that's not terrible. We still have a little bit of a round curve, but it's not quite as extreme as we had before. So it's not gonna look quite as weird, you know, as we affix these two together. So I am going to flip this guy over and we're gonna start working on that side for the moment. So yeah, pretty exciting overall. Okay, we're still good on my clips for the moment. Let's see, what else can we talk about? We can talk about the fact that I forgot to make a phone call today. So last week I emailed one of the board members for the conference, the SOFA conference that we're going to in September, and I was gonna call him back, and I totally forgot to do it today. So I guess I'll have to do it tomorrow. It's a little bit late in the day for the moment, or like once the stream is over, for some people. So I'll probably do it tomorrow morning. What else do I have to say? So my parents came last weekend to celebrate my birthday a little bit early. See, again, early birthday. And we went to the Mexican restaurant, and I had some awesome food. I had chicken and rice with like salsa and cheese goo, and it was pretty darn good. And I had a fun time with my parents, and we talked, because I haven't seen them in quite some time. So it's always really pleasant to see them. So I was pretty excited then. And yeah, we did a little bit of filming on Sunday, finishing off, you know, the beauty shots for the new hammer and for the raise sign. And so you can look forward to seeing those in the next 2 weeks. I'm pretty excited about editing those. Was that a phone notification, or was that like squeaking outside? Somebody drove past with a trailer. I think they were squeaking as they went by. Do you like spicy or mild Mexican food? Oh, for the wide angle, there is something in the frame. Not terrible for the stream, but if you want to use the footage, it might be in the way. What is it? Is it the door? Or maybe it is... Ha! I know what it is. I know what it is. Alright, it is the cable that connects my my close-up camera to the capture card, so you guys can see what it sees. So that's what that was. Thanks for letting me know. Do I like spicy food or Mexican or spicy or mild Mexican food? I love spicy Mexican food. However, I can't eat really spicy Mexican food. I have to be really careful because I get heartburn nowadays, really bad. So I love spicy food, but I just can't always eat it. Um, so I kind of do medium spice and take Tums after I've eaten it. I bet it red hot like the forge. Yes, camera cord, please. It is the camera cord, or it was the camera cord. But we're good now. It's gone. I'm happy. Thank you for letting me know. I also have this tendency to sometimes leave the door in the wide frame. There is a door over here that leads to the breezeway out there in between my house and the garage, and I leave it open for ventilation so I get some cross with the garage door back there. And every once in a while, you can see the edge of the door in the frame. I try to be careful. I like spicy, but also like to still taste the flavor. Yeah, I also like to taste the flavor. That's kind of why I don't do the like super, or why I stopped doing the super hot stuff, the stuff that would like make my lips numb. Zap Jays, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the community. Thank you so much. I hope you're all having fun today. I'm having fun already. We haven't been going that long. Yeah, peppers tend to get bitter and kind of gross the hotter they get. Yeah, they kind of do. I love buffalo sauce on like wings and things, but when it gets too hot, then all you can really taste is that bitter taste and then that flame, aftertaste. So I try to have more flavorful spices. I also try very hard not to fall into the, bland spice American, Midwestern mold. But I grew up with spicy food, so people in my family spiced the food pretty well. So I feel like I actually got a taste for spice eventually. When I was a little kid, less so, but now I really like spicy food. It just burns. It is a dare, but not tasty. It's hammer time, specifically Molnir. Hey, Drew Lone. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. Today we are actually making an axe, but it does have a hammerhead on the opposite side because I really like the idea of being able to use the axe to, split firewood, and then if it gets stuck, you can hammer it with like a hammer and finish that split. So, or you can use the backside of the hammer, make it like a survival axe where you can use the backside to like hammer intense spikes and things like that. So that's the design that ideally we are going with for the moment. Sorry to say that, but approaching 40, little kid days are over. I mean, I guess that is definitely true. I am starting to get, into the middle age. As much as I don't want to admit it. Oh, I like the additional sign, specifically the Smithy of Ray. Yes, Ray's Smithy. It belongs to me. So that's actually what the name of the channel is supposed to be. How there's like two S's. The first one is supposed to be possessive, but so many social media platforms don't let you put special characters in. So it is my Smithy. It belongs to me. It's a possessive S. That, or maybe there's multiple Rays running around. If I have like a twin sister or something that I don't know about, maybe I have an evil stepsister or twin sister running around, but I'm pretty sure it's just me. evil sister. I turned 45 this summer. I feel you. I mean, I still feel like I'm a kid. Like, honestly, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago that I was still in high school and college. So, it's kind of jarring turning 39, you know? So, I guess I just got to learn to live with it. I'm going to do another heat. All right. We are hammering back this curve. I want to make sure that it's a little bit more straight, so that when I affix the bit, it's a little bit less weird of a transition, I guess. All right, back in the fire. And then I think for my next heat, I might actually switch tongs so I can hold this up vertically and like hammer sort of like that, right down so that maybe it'll upset a little bit easier. Or maybe you are the evil twin. Yes, I could totally be that evil twin. I mean, there's fire all over the place. Isn't evil associated with fire? I mean, if I have a twin, I'm probably the evil one. Ray's good twin sister. Nope, you must be the good one. I also like to think it was not too long ago when I was at university. Actually, it is half my life ago. It is as long as my age was back then. I started at college when I was 18 years old. And I went to junior college for 3 years. And then I went to university and I spent another 3 years at university. So I spent 6 years in college over the span of 7 years. So it's been, I guess if I'm 39 now, maybe less than a third of my life. But close. My twin has never been seen, so you know which one I am. I don't know, Mahalo. You seem like the good twin to me. All right, let's see. What tongs do I want to use? I think I might try these tongs. So what we're going to do is we're going to transfer the steel over. I'm going to pull it out of the forge with these tongs, and then I'm going to use these tongs to grab a hold of that center area, the fatter area, and then we're going to hammer vertically on the anvil to kind of try and upset both ends of that, like, leaf, I guess, or I guess both ends of the butterfly. I don't know what you want to call it. Wings? Anyway. But you know what? You know what would help me upsetting this piece of steel? Bad dad jokes and puns. You guys are always so good at them. And if you guys on YouTube have any good dad jokes or, any good puns, leave them in the comments. Your twin sister streams ice carving. Ooh, I have always wanted to do ice carving. So maybe my twin sister does ice carving. It's one of my bucket list things. I've always wanted to be an ice sculptor, but I never got the opportunity. He is in my head. No, he isn't. He is. We can't agree. We wouldn't tell anyone. All right. I do need to get another water. I will be right back. I just finished the last bit here. Let's see if I can't actually, get back here to get to my water. Man, yesterday when I was doing some filming, I kind of just I left a whole bunch of stuff all over behind the cameras, so it's a disaster back here, and I'm like tripping over stuff as I'm getting to the water. Super not cool. Maybe I will clean tomorrow. That way I don't have to do this on. Well, I guess I won't have to do it on Wednesday because we're out in the carport. Out in the carport. Don't waste your time on me. You're already the voice inside my head. Aw, it has been a really long time since I've heard that song. I was an emo kid in high school. Have you heard of the new sport quiet tennis? It's like regular tennis but without the racket. Huh. That's a good one. That's a good one. Keep them coming. I need more upsetting puns and dad jokes so that I can upset this piece of steel. I am going to do another heat though. Right. Am I still in focus? It looks like I am. Good. You know what? That tinging sound, it's my foot hitting on a piece of steel at the bottom. Okay, let's see if I can do this without injuring my thumb. Alright, let's do this. You can't even see the top. But you can see what I've done a little bit. But I'm going to do this another heat. That way you guys can see the top of me doing this. So we're going to do at least one more heat just like that. And it is a lot straighter than it was before. So if we compare the bit with this, it's a little bit less of a jarring transition, which is exactly what I want to see. It will still be like a curved transition because I'm not going to be able to get it all the way back, but it shouldn't be as jarring. Alrighty. Too much anvil, not enough steel. As always, this is riveting. Yes. I bought a dog from a blacksmith today. Within 10 minutes, he made a bolt for the door. Did he? A bolt. That's very impressive. Alright, let's move this up. We'll see the very top of the anvil face. And hopefully it'll work. Alright, there we go. So another tidbit about the raise sign is that you can see the power brick right here that it's plugged into. That's actually the power brick for my cell phone charger. And so after the stream, I have to unplug it and bring the brick inside with me so I can charge my cell phone later on. So I need to purchase a new power brick for a USB plug and keep it so I can keep it out here permanently and I don't have to keep moving my cell phone charger in and out of the house. Turns out when my manager asked me if anything was making my job particularly difficult at the moment, people wasn't the sort of answer they were looking for. People do make jobs difficult sometimes. Whether it's the customers or your coworkers, people can make things challenging. But I mean, there are a lot of people that make things more pleasant. Like you guys make my life a lot more pleasant. So I'm hoping that I've raised the close-up camera high enough that you guys will be able to see the top of the axe head while I am upsetting it like this. If not, though, we might use the cracked plate on my anvil, and we might just be able to do a side hammer as opposed to a vertical hammer, like a horizontal hammer, I guess, against the broken plate bit. I've got a broken plate. I'm gonna use the advantage from it. Blacksmiths always have their nose to the grindstone, but if they have an axe to grind. I mean, I do have an axe to grind. That one. I think I also have an axe to grind with whoever decided to make such a fat handle. But I'm having a lot of trouble finding a skinnier replacement. So I still can't use this guy. Soon I should be able to use it. But while my thumb is a little bit on the injured side, I won't be able to use this yet. I am really looking forward to using it. It actually worked pretty well in the beauty shops that we did. I just kind of grinned and bared the pain. Why are they known as blacksmiths? Well, they all have their vices. Yes. Yes. Vices. I got this vice. Is this the vice that we're talking about? I have a second post vice, and I have a bench vice too. That's 3, right? I have 3 vices. When I first started collecting tools, I thought to myself that I would start naming my tools so that I, always knew where they were and I could like inventory them. So I did actually start naming my tools, and this one was drugs, because you've got your sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I got 3 vices, and those are the 3 vices, right? Or, that was the joke anyway. I have a guillotine shear, which is basically a long shear that just chops steel right straight down. That one I named Marie after Marie Antoinette. And then I also have a Beverly shear, which I named Beverly Crusher. Or I named it Crusher because of Beverly Crusher from Star Trek. I try to be a little bit punny with the names of my tools. Blacksmiths understand irony and goldy and coppery. Exactly, and steely, I named my hammers like MC Hammer and, that sort of thing. Alright, let's try this after I'm finished drinking. Alright, let's see if I've gotten this right. Hopefully you guys will be able to see the tongue. Alright, looks like you can. That's pretty cool. Alright, so we've got a little bit of a pooch at the end here from that upsetting. You can kind of see it if I tip it up like that. There's a little bit of a pooch out there, so I need to kind of straighten that out a little bit. Hammer that back and try to make sure that it doesn't go longer, that it goes shorter back into the steel itself, or like into the bigger section of steel. I could also hammer it outward, and that wouldn't be bad either. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to hang this off of the edge of the anvil, and we're going to use glancing blows to kind of give ourselves a little bit of a thinner taper there. I don't want to go all the way so that the 2 edges are touching. I just want to give myself a cleaner transition between the axe body and the bit when we're doing the forge weld. Beverly Crusher can help making gates. Yes, she can definitely help making gates. I always found it interesting that Gates McFadden actually went by two stage names. Gates McFadden was her acting stage name, and then she had a separate stage name. I can't remember what it was for her dancing. She was a professional dancer before she was on that show. So that's kind of an interesting Star Trek tidbit. So we are about to start an ad, and so I'm probably not going to, or not, I'm probably not to. We're not going to talk about anything terribly important during the ad, and we definitely won't be doing any heat during the ad. So don't worry about that. So I've got a few things that I've got to get ready for Wednesday's stream. I've got to make sure that I have plenty of coal. I've got to move the vehicles, and then I also have to kind of clean out the carport a little bit. There's like a whole bunch of stuff that's sitting around the anvil that I have out there. So I don't know. In the end, I might actually move the anvil. It's pretty easy to move. I've got a couple of door dollies that I can use to move it, and it'll make it a lot easier. But I want to make a nice area that we can use to forge, or to do that forge weld. I think the thing that I am most concerned with is I would really like to show you guys what I look for when I am trying a forge weld, when I'm trying to get the metal to stick. But I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna go about showing that without burning it up. So I will ask my partner and see if he has any ideas. I do have a idea, but I still don't know that it's going to prevent my steel from burning. I think it's more like if I move my tripod so that it is facing the anvil and then handheld the camera to the coal, it might work pretty well. We shall see. Yes, Cheryl, as a choreographer, did the choreography on the Labyrinth. The dancing doctor was an inside joke. Yes, it was. I remember now. Yeah, I watched a documentary, or like a YouTube documentary on it, and I remember now. It's been a while, so I couldn't quite remember her choreographer name. But yes, it is it is Cheryl. The name Cheryl always reminds me, though, of Archer. If you guys are familiar with Archer, the show, it used to run on FX. It was a spy show. There was a character named Cheryl, and she was a very wealthy person who worked at the agency because she thought it was fun, and she was the butt of a lot of jokes, along with Cyril. I guess she wasn't the butt of the jokes necessarily, but she was a comic relief character. Cheryl Tunt, not very hidden pun. Yes. Definitely not very hidden. Archer was a great show. I really like it. I do think that it lasted a little bit too long, though. Some of the last seasons, the last one I watched, was a little bit. Maybe they jumped the shark a bit. Welcome in, Ping. Greetings. Greetings. Welcome to the stream. We are going to do another heat, but first I think I'm going to move the camera again. Whoops. Apparently I'm going to kick the camera. That way you guys can kind of see what I'm up to a little bit easier. And I think I'm going to move this scrap bin so that I can get behind the camera easier. Because I keep tripping over it. Goodness gracious. You got new ear protection. I did. I got new ear protection because I got tired of my partner borrowing my white ones. And I don't use the Bluetooth part of the headset anyway. So I gave him the old ones and these are the new ones. I also put up the raise sign and I think it looks pretty. I like the lights. I like the chair you never use. Well, okay, so the chair is here because back when I first started blacksmithing, when I first started streaming, I wanted to sit down so that I didn't have to stand while I was waiting for things to heat up, and it actually did help me be able to stream for longer at the time. But as I've gotten stronger and gotten more stamina back, I just haven't used it as much. So now it's a chair that I set things on, like my apron and my headphones, when I'm not using them. All right. Let's do another heat. Yes. I do have a raise sign. I finished that up last weekend. I was pretty happy with it. My phone is going off. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. I'm going to put this back and then I'm going to check the phone real fast. Suspected spam. Ear protection because it's important and explains why I always slightly shout. Yes, that is exactly why. Because I can't actually hear myself, right? Unless I do shout. So I have sound or like noise cancellation on my my microphone here, and so like it helps you guys hear, but I don't have the sound cancellation at the same level that you guys do. So I have these headphones here, and they are 30 decibels of hearing protection, but I can't really hear myself even with the rest of this going on, so I do kind of shout so I can hear myself think. Suspected spam. This message is unimportant. Exactly. Fizz S, thank you so much for that follow. I greatly appreciate that. Welcome to the community. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you're having fun. I think I can leave these over here for now. I think we're pretty well done with those for the moment. I might need them later, so I'm not going to put them away, but, you know. Yeah, it's always strange when I have, like, texts and phone calls in the middle of a stream. I don't want to answer them clearly, but, like, you know, occasionally there's something important. You never know, right? So I always have to check them, and then, you know, put them to rest. It is super, super hot today. It was 96 degrees Fahrenheit when I checked the weather today. And so I've got my industrial fan going, and I got lots and lots of water, but it is still super duper hot. Still hoping that I can continue to stream and not have to end stream early. On Friday, I had sweat through all of my clothes. You couldn't see it. You can't see it when I have the apron on, but you can definitely see the sweat stains on all my clothes when I went in the house on Friday. Watching the tools on the anvil slowly move across the anvil as you work. Yeah, they do. They bounce up or they bounce because of the vibrations of the hammer. And so they do move. And oftentimes, if I'm not paying attention or being careful, they'll actually fall off the anvil, and then, then they make a loud clatter, and I look kind of, ridiculous. But it's all right. I'm a little airheady. We all know this. All right, let's do another heat. Or it would help if I hit the correct button on my capture card to change the camera. Ah! All right, there we go. We are going to continue thinning out this front. Did I do this backwards? I think I did, actually. Now that I think about it, I did it backwards, which means I'm going to have to flip this and start fixing that. It's all right. It's not too bad. All right, more heat. There is totally a top and bottom to this piece, or to this axe, right? We built up a large butt end for this axe, so that we can create a hammerhead for using to hammer in tent spikes and to hammer through wood, so that in case your axe gets stuck. But as a result, that extra buildup of material, what I need to do with it is that has to be on the outside. So I need to make sure that that is up, because I want the chamfer, which is the thinning out of the material at the end of the section, to kind of be in that same direction, so that I get less of a awkward transition when I weld the bit inside of the sandwich. So this is the bit. I'm going to forge weld this in between the two halves of the axe. This is going to create the blade. This is a piece of a lawnmower blade, and I cut this section off, and we're gonna thin this out this direction in order to thicken it up in this direction. We also need to flatten it out because it's a little bit wobbly from the lawnmower. But lawnmower blades, according to the listing, the junkyard steel chart, are made of 1080, which is a high carbon steel. It's not quite as high as or high carbon as 1095, which is the darker steel within a Damascus 1095 and 15N20 pattern, but it's going to be high enough carbon for our purposes. You can always make it thinner, but sometimes you want it to be just differently shaped. This is the art. Yeah. And so we flattened the two, or like the outside edges, so that we'd have a little bit easier of a transition between the the leaf and the bit, because if I don't chamfer it and like thin it out towards the edge, then I would have a weird gap as I forge weld them together, because it would be a lot thicker and the transition would just have a nice sharp, or it would have a sharp edge to it. And I'll talk about this again on Wednesday when I'm actively forge welding, and because I'll be able to show it to you. It's a little bit difficult to visualize without, visual aids. So I will definitely be talking about the transition and the chamfer when we are forge welding on Wednesday. It's also going to make it a lot easier to sand and grind the axe at the end when we're, cleaning it up so that we can put a handle on it. Junkyard steel chart. This is the world of the urban blacksmith. Yes. The junkyard steel chart is incredibly important if you are going to be recycling steel, because that's going to help you figure out what is in your steel, and save your projects from shattering because if you are quenching a piece of steel, if you're using the wrong quench medium, your steel is likely to shatter, especially if you do something like an air cool steel in oil or water. That steel will shatter if you're quenching it, because air steel is a slow hardening tool steel, and water quenching is a really jarring. It's a very fast quench. So your water quench is the fast quench, oil quench is a medium quench, and a air quench steel is a long quench, a quench time to get hardening. So that's something to keep in mind. The junkyard tool steel also helps you make sure that you are not accidentally, trying to forge a steel that has zinc in it or chrome in it, because those are both really nasty to inhale. Both zinc and chrome create noxious gases that you can breathe in, and it will mess with your lungs. You will get so sick. Got to be careful with that. All right, another heat. But first, I'm gonna check my clips to make sure that Oh, my memory card is full. Dang it! I've done it again. I forgot to delete the clips on my wide camera, and so I filled the card. Alright. Hate when I do that. It'll be alright, though. Okay, it's this side. Alright. So I've left myself a little bit of thickness, and I definitely want to keep that thickness because I don't want to cause more scale than I have to. So if I leave myself a little bit of thickness, we're going to get that nice transition, but we will also prevent the steel from burning. So I'm going to flip this over, and we're going to start on the other side. We're going to chamfer this side. Whew. Super warm. I feel like if I didn't love blacksmithing as much as I do, I would definitely not come here on days like this. I feel like you really gotta love blacksmithing to be able to come out in the blistering heat and still be forging. So if you guys are actually looking for a junkyard steel sheet that I was talking about earlier, there is a short coming out tomorrow that has the junkyard steel chart on it. There is a link to one of the compilations of the junkyard steel sheet. So you guys can look for that tomorrow on my YouTube channel as a short. I've linked it there for you guys and your enjoyment. I also have a scroll through of the chart in that short video, so you can take a cursory look on it as well. And that video, I believe, comes out tomorrow. Today's video or short video is how to select new steel. So there are two types of mild steel that you can purchase, oftentimes at a steel supplier for new steel. There is hot rolled steel and cold rolled steel. And cold rolled steel is always much more expensive than hot rolled steel because it takes more energy and more pressure to roll steel and shape the steel while it is cold than when it is hot. You always want to buy hot rolled steel, and the reason that you want to buy hot rolled steel is because you are going to heat the steel whether it is cold or hot rolled. So all of that extra strength from that cold roll compression will instantly go away when you stick it in the forge. Ray is hot, but see also blacksmith. Yes. That is true for most professionals and also hobbies. When there are obstacles, you only push through if you like what you do or have very eccentric motivation. Yes, exactly. Welcome to the stream, Yankee. Welcome to the stream. So, we are currently chamfering the edges of the axe case. So I have decided that we are going to weld a bit inside of this folded axe. So this is the bit that I have in mind. This is a piece of a lawnmower blade. So what we're gonna do is once I'm happy with the cleanliness of the axe jacket, we're gonna start working on this. We are going to thin it out this direction and thicken it up this direction. I want to keep it the same length because I want to be able to cut it off to match the jacket when I'm happy with it. So this is a lawnmower blade. We were just discussing the junkyard steel chart, and the junkyard steel chart says this is 1080, which is a oil quenched steel. Either pay me enough or I will do it regardless. I mean, I will do this regardless. I do enjoy being paid though, so any support that you give, whether that be watching ads or subscribing or donating to KoFi, I appreciate all of that. So thank you guys so much for your support. But I would be out here doing this anyway, regardless. So All right, I'm gonna do another heat. I do love my blacksmithing. It is so much fun. Alrighty. Once again, we are thinning out this outside edge on this axe jacket so that when we forge weld this piece of mower blade on, we will get a much smoother transition, which is going to reduce the amount of time that we have to grind this axe when we're done forging it. So that is what we are currently doing. I got a couple more heats that I think I need to do with this chamfer, and then from there we are going to start working on this fat section here. I want to once again kind of clean that up a bit. I don't really see a good solid shelf anymore on this, so I really want to clean that up. The hobby blacksmith. I will do this anyway, but pay is always appreciated. Yes. What commands are you looking for? I've got a few different commands. We've got my strike commands in case I mess up or injure myself. I've got a Discord command that will post a link to my Discord. I've got a command for, man, I don't even remember what all my commands are. I've got a couple others. Maybe slash socials or exclamation point socials. I don't remember actually. It has been so long since I have messed with Nightbot, aside from fixing the Instagram. Strike. Yeah, so I have a 3 strikes and you're out policy. So when I injure myself or when I screw something up very badly, I add 1 strike. And once I hit 3 strikes, I have to leave the shop because at that point, I'm so frustrated or I'm not in the right mindset in order to continue safely forging. So, yeah. I also have a clear strikes command as well somewhere in there. Yep. I used to I used to get a lot more tired a lot more quickly, so it was a lot easier for me to make minor mistakes or major mistakes while I was forging. As I've gained more stamina as we've continued streaming and I've continued out here blacksmithing, it is a lot harder, or I mean, it's a lot easier for me to get a clean stream. I do make some minor mistakes every stream, like, dropping steel places, but there's a lot fewer burns and, major mishaps nowadays. Keep smithing. Yes. Thank you so much for those 10 bits. Thank you. Thank you. Is that a highlight your message? I haven't really looked too deeply into the I guess the channel points menu. I keep telling myself I'm gonna come up with good channel points activities and redeems, but I've never really come up with any good ones. I think if not for the fact that I am afraid of what people would do, I would put TTS as our channel redeem, but I am also I couldn't hear them even if I wanted to. So at least not with these headphones. I would have to Bluetooth my other set of headphones so that I could hear them. I don't know. I should take a look at it again. I think it's been long enough that maybe I can come up with a few things. Am I seriously out of water again? Is this water 2 or 3? I don't remember. Chat, do you remember if this is water 2 or 3? Oh, my door is open. That's weird. Hydrate. I don't actually have a hydrate command because normally I hydrate on my own. You know what I mean? It is a very common command. All right. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna get a Gatorade real fast, just because I can't remember which I'm on. So I will be right back. You guys should be able to hear me, and so I can talk to you guys, because I have a lav mic. Do I have any? Maybe I don't have. Oh, there. I found it. It's the tortillas. We do a lot of Chinese and, or I guess Mexican and Chinese fusion meals. So we always have tortillas in the house. Always, always. All right, so we have an ad incoming, so I will wait until the ad is done until my next heat. Hydrate. Exactly. I used to have this obsession with my name, and so I would highlight my name if it was within a word. And so, what was my favorite exclamation? It was. Can't even remember. This. Yes. Which one? What was it? It was. Can't even remember. So very soon I'm going to put this guy in the forge and we're going to start working on the mint. But we are on ad time right now, so I will talk about that again in a few. And hydrate. Hooray. Yes, it was so totally hooray. Yes, that was it. That was my favorite exclamation. Looks like the ad is starting to wrap up. So yeah, it was hooray sandwich, because Ray is within hooray. And so I used to work at some pretty, lame places, some pretty boring places like retail. And so to liven up the place, I would always go around and I would be like, hooray, Ray. Because, exciting. I just wanted to, have fun at work, I guess. Situated above or over the dorsal aspect of the esophagus, esophageal. I don't know that I have ever heard of that word before. I mean, too bad we aren't still upsetting our steel. I mean, these are nice puns. Those would be great upsetting puns. All right. I'm going to do another heat now that we are off of ad time. Learn something new every day. Yes, I do learn something new every day. I try to learn something new every day. I'm pretty with that right now. So right now we have a nice transition on both this side and this side. So we want to keep a little bit of thickness so that when we go to forge weld these together, that we don't miss and have the piece peeling off or burning off. But we're gonna get a nice transition there. So I'm pretty happy with that. So the next thing that we're going to do is I want to flatten this space up. Right now we kind of have a bulge in that center. And so I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the face of the anvil just like so, kind of trying to flatten everything out a little bit. So that's going to be our next couple heats. And I'm definitely going to kind of shelf that center area a little bit better at the same time. The presence of excess iron in the blood, hyperemia. I mean, I probably have that, excess of iron in my blood. Not to the point where, it would be a medical condition or dangerous, but I do work a lot with metal. Yeah. There are a lot of, when you're blacksmithing and welding and like filing and stuff, sometimes you actually get steel shavings within your cuts and bruises and things. And, I have a couple places where I have scars that actually have steel in them. So, it is something that can happen. Usually it's not too bad as long as it's not uncomfortable. But yeah, I guess I don't have a medical condition, I guess, if that's, all scale, yes. You are not supposed to lick your piece all the time. Yes, sandwich. I try not to lick things. And Ray is steel skinned. Yes, I have steel in my skin. One time, so I went to the airport, and you know how you have like the metal detector and the screening and stuff at the airport. I went through the screening, and they had to pull me aside and wand me down because I had steel dust in my pockets, like in the bottom of my pockets. I just can't get rid of it. So that's why they ended up flagging me for extra screening. It kind of stunk. I also have a scar that has steel in it, like right around here in my inner thigh. Not a pleasant scar to deal with. It was a 3rd-degree burn when it was an injury. So Sandwich was talking about me licking my pieces. And that just reminds me of my partner has this thing where they always say, don't lick and then some random thing. So like, don't lick the Wamasu when we were playing Elder Scrolls Online, because one of the enemies was a Wamasu, which is a giant lightning lizard with 6 legs, and it's like, don't lick the whatever it is. And so that is a phrase that I hear quite often. Don't lick whatever, So that's kind of funny, actually. Ray is the guard in the Magneto's plastic prison. I hope I'm not the guard in Magneto's plastic prison. That guard did not have a good day the day that Magneto, was left the prison. I don't think that I would want all of the iron in my blood to be ripped out of me. Those scanners are programmed to sometimes trigger at random without actually detecting anything, to facilitate random sample checks without discussion. I have seen that before, where I've read that they do those for random checks. But the reason I know that I set it off with metal is because when they wanded me, that the wand also squealed because of my pockets, because of the steel shavings in them. Security theater, yes. I mean, with like 3D printing and stuff, if you really want to cause problems, you can cause problems, whether they check you for metal and liquids or not. All right, we're gonna do another heat, and we're gonna do it on the face of the anvil. We're gonna kind of try and flatten out that central area so that it makes it a lot easier when we're on Wednesday when we're wrapping things around. I want to make sure that we leave the wrapping to um, Wednesday so that I can make sure that I get the least amount of scale before I do that forge weld. So I'm gonna run the piece through the bench grinder and the angle grinder before Wednesday, but I want to make it nice and flat. Alrighty. Well, that's fun. I've I've gotten my tongs hot enough that they're starting to move on me. Always the best. I guess we'll try and fix them a little bit. Alright. And now they are too wide. They're moving again. Always the best. Let's quench those off real fast. Alright. So I'm going to put this guy back in the heat, and then we're going to try that again. Hopefully it doesn't work quite as, or hopefully these tongs don't bend. I might have to grab a different set of tongs. The liquid thing is a bit of theater. Apart from that they can try to catch the majority of attempts, they can never catch them all with a reasonable effort. Not even wearing gloves, bruh, tough. Welcome to the stream, Tannerin. But criminals are humans too, and not always the most brilliant ones. So if you stop the most sample and stupid plots, you probably stop most of them. Yes. Tools remaking tools in the fly. This too is blacksmithing. It definitely is. Yeah, I don't normally use gloves for the majority of my blacksmithing, just because I like the tactile feel of being able to touch my tongs. And the reason I don't use gloves on this hand specifically is because I need the grip from my, my skin. Otherwise, I have a tendency to fling my hammer that direction, and that would be rather dangerous since I have cameras and equipment over that direction. Delicate equipment. I do, however, have a glove that I wish I could wear during smithing. This is my compression glove that I've been using because I injured my thumb recently. So when I am not in fear of accidentally melting it to my skin, I do wear that to make sure that my thumb can't overextend anymore. So you might actually catch me using it in my hands and pans sort of, videos. I think I'm wearing it when I am pulling some, or when I'm putting that guy up, the raise sign on the wall during that video. it really started bothering me on Friday. So I made sure that I got a nice compression glove, and then I also have an immobilizing glove, which obviously I can't use while I'm out here. So it's kind of annoying, but when I need it, I need it, you know? Enough blacksmithing experience not to burn herself. I try. I try very hard not to burn myself. But as every experienced blacksmith knows, and even beginner blacksmiths should know, there is no refraining from burns and cuts. You will get burned. You will get cut. It's more a matter of time. If you're careful, you can increase the amount of time between the burns and cuts, but they never go away entirely. On the other hand, also, or hands also fall into the category of delicate equipment. They do. They definitely do. And that's why I'm trying to save my hand as much as possible by using the compression gloves and the thumb immobilization. Even when pointing at the glowing metal worryingly closely. Well, I mean, the hot metal always emits heat, so I always know when not to touch it. Well, normally I know when not to touch it. When it's black, sometimes I'll just pick it up, not realizing, and I will burn myself doing that. I try very hard not to do that. It does occasionally happen. But for the most part, the ambient heat coming off of the steel makes it a really good deterrent for not touching it with my fingers. Hands still look pretty clean though for a blacksmith. You know the reason they're clean is because I'm not using coal today. The coal forge is over there, and when I'm using coal on Wednesday, you guys will see that my hands will be very black. Um, so right now, I'm, for the most part, relatively clean. I have some dirt on my hands, but it's not too terribly bad. But coal is another story. And for those pieces of equipment, getting original replacement parts for repairs is incredibly difficult. Yes. I try. It does occasionally happen. Thus speaks the voice of experience. Yes. I do occasionally touch black steel. But honestly, black steel is one of the most dangerous things in a blacksmith shop. I always reiterate this all the time. Um, if you don't know if something is hot or not, don't touch it. Put the back of your hand near it. If ambient heat comes off of it, don't touch it. Otherwise, if ambient heat doesn't come off it, it's probably cold. But if you feel the ambient heat, don't touch it. You'll burn yourself. Speaking of touching things, let's see if these will work a little better. I don't know if they will or not. We'll try them. But yeah, Sandwich, you're right. I think that I've only heard of hand transplants one time, and the dexterity that you've gotten, or that the patient had at the end, was not nearly as good as the original. I think it's only ever occurred one time. It was kind of an experiment, if I remember correctly. If you don't know it's hot, assume it is. Exactly. That is the best way to not burn yourself. All right, we're gonna do another heat. But first, let me start up my camera, my record function again. You know what? I forgot to change my camera. I'm a smarty. I think it can be done, but ideally the results are better than nothing, but never as good as the original. Yes. There are daily things a blacksmith prefers to make herself instead of buying, like a knife, for example. Yeah, I mean, A lot of times I do buy knives personally, but that's because I don't like knife making. I know that seems very sacrilegious of a blacksmith, but I just don't. I, I don't know why, I just don't. Alright, let's see if I can make this happen. Alright. Not thrilling. These tongs are not holding this secure enough for me, so I'm going to have to come up with something else. So I'm going to put this in the heat while I'm trying to come up with a better solution. So I apologize. That was a very short heat. What's a good thing to hold it? These aren't working. These aren't working. These are too thick. Maybe I'll try these. I've got a lot of tongs for just this reason. You never know when you're going to need a different set. If blacksmithing was software development, quality guidelines would forbid the use of steel prongs without or plastic handles. Then you can set up the rule where steel without handles just must never be touched. I mean, I feel like that would probably work for the most part, but as you continue holding steel, the ambient heat transfers from your steel into your tongs, right? So it will start moving down the tongs as you continue smithing. So eventually it does get to your hands, and so that is the indication that you need to quench off your tongs. Well, if you had rubber or plastic on your tong handles, then you wouldn't be able to feel that heat transfer, and you'd start melting your handles, like, you know, your coating. So, I mean, I guess at some point you would eventually quench off your tongs, but I kind of feel like it would remove the coating pretty easily. Nobody says the rules are without restriction and side effects. I mean, I guess that's true. I guess that's true. And you know, as far as programming is concerned, if blacksmithing was a program code, there would be some kind of random thing just thrown in the code for no reason. Like, you know, how the game, like how a game, sometimes there's like a little one item that if you delete that item from the game, it breaks the code. I think Valve has a crowbar in, what game is that? Half-Life. That if you delete the crowbar from Half-Life, it will break the game. Sometimes safety measures remove the safety. Yes. That is what happens when your safety measures are created by people who are not in the trenches doing it themselves. Developer runes would say, quench after every use and automate that so it cannot be forgotten. I mean, you know, there is that. It would be, you know, nice. And I'm sure I could come up with a reason why maybe you wouldn't want to do it that way, but, you know, I'm not going to go down that road right now. This is a way of getting brittle items. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Alright, I'm going to do another heat. Or bendy items. Alright, let's see. Is this going to work for me? Is it going to work for me? I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. So if I hold it like so. You know, this is why I, why I keep getting told that I need to make a hold down. because my steel keeps moving around. All right, so I'm gonna put this back in the heat, and what we're gonna start doing is we are going to start putting in shelving and like cleaning up the transition between this section here and this section here. We've kind of lost the shelves that I put in here originally. You can see some echoes of them right there, but they're just not sharp anymore. Side effects. I mean, I feel like side effects are kind of one of those things that it's like, sometimes you can live with the side effects and sometimes you can't, you know? Isn't that how medicines work? You kind of have to weigh the side effects with what the medication is trying to cure. All right, I have no idea how long we've been going today. 2 hours. All right. So I think this will probably be the second to the last heat on this piece, and then I probably need to transition to working on the bit. Otherwise, we won't have time to do that before we have to forge it on Wednesday, or forge weld it on Wednesday. You know what? Maybe I should take that out and just start working on the bit now, because I can always work on that while I am bending it. It might even be easier. Let's think about that. Alright, so I think I'm going to pull this guy out, stick him over here, pull this guy and put it in here, like so. So now you guys get to see a glowing piece of steel just sitting there cooling off. Or maybe you can't see it. I don't know if you can or not. Yeah, you can. How is this feeling? Not too bad. Oh, gross. What is that? There's something on that. What is burning? There must have been something on this, like oil or grass or something. It's burning kind of strangely, so I gotta be a little bit careful with it. Let's see if I can't get some of it off by brushing it. That is another thing that you do have to deal with when you are using recycled steels, is if there's anything on it, you got to be a little bit careful. All right, so that is probably going to start burning weirdly again. So we'll just have to monitor it. Burn off, not as pure as advertised. Yeah, like I said, I think there's like oil on it or something. Because it came off of a lawnmower blade, and I think that lawnmower had a little bit of a fuel leak and an oil leak. So you're gonna see some weird vortexing fire, and we're just gonna monitor it, and hopefully it'll die down once that oil comes off of the blade piece. my Gatorade is starting to get warm. Yo, Blacksmithy, good to go. Take it easy. Oh, gotta go. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Thanks for joining us today. Break out the gas mask. Open the door. I got all the doors open. All right. So we're going to try this again. Let's see. Oh, there's an ad starting soon. So I guess I'm going to wait. We're going to wait for that ad to go away. Or be done, I guess. And so I am going to flip my clips on my close-up. There we go. That'll work. So it's starting to look like that weird flame is starting to get the correct, or to turn the correct color again. So hopefully it will lower. But I think that it might not lower because of the shape of the steel. So there's always that chance. Even the subscribers appreciate that you wait for the advertisements to end. I always try. And because I want everyone to be able to see the heats, and then it also gives me time to kind of like decompress a little bit, you know, and think about things that I want to talk about or other topics and things like that. So gather my thoughts. There was a week or two where I found it difficult to have the ad timer up on the screen because my screen space is at a premium since I only have one screen, and that wasn't fun because I found that I was smithing in the middle of ad time, and I definitely don't like doing that. It's going to take us a little bit of time on Wednesday to kind of work through this piece or this bit because I just don't think we have quite enough time left in the stream today. Because I'm really starting to get pretty hot. I think I got about a half an hour left in me, and we'll probably have to end the stream. So we'll see how thick we can upset this, and if we can't finish it, we'll finish it on Wednesday. Alrighty, let's do another heat. Alright. So what we're doing here is we are forging on these edges to upset all of the steel forward, but we are also trying to flatten this out and keep it flat. As we do this, it's thin enough that it's starting to kind of curl, and we don't want it to do that. So we got to go back and make sure that it stays flat. Because this piece is so thin, it's probably going to take us a little bit of extra time to get this the upsetting started to a point where we can like go ham on it, I guess. So yeah, it's going to take a little bit of extra time. And like I said, I think that we will probably spend a little bit of that time on Wednesday doing this as well. I don't know that I am up to thinking that we will have to move forge welding to Friday yet, but I will kind of have to judge that because I spent a lot of time trying to clean up the axe. So yeah, it is starting to get super hot, and like I said, I'm getting to a point where I'm gonna need to end the stream soon. But I do want to get started on this bit. So I'm pretty happy that if I come over here, the cording and the sign itself aren't heating up. I was a little afraid that when I put those up, that when I turned on the forge, it would start heating the cords and melting the casing on it, and then heating up the sign itself. Um, I built that sign completely cold using, a jigsaw and bending over the anvil cold and things like that because um, it's chrome plated stainless steel, and chrome is really nasty. It creates noxious gas when it gets heated. Now, I never thought that it would get heated up enough that the chrome would start melting off of there and like causing that noxious gas, but it still made me a little bit nervous about the cording. Definitely did not want to melt my cables. All right, I'm gonna do another heat. That right there is the blade, so it's acting a little bit funny. I might need to grind that off before Monday. Or, I mean, Wednesday. I don't know what the heck day it is. All right, more heat, more heat. Alrighty. So I'm starting to think that I'm going to ask my partner what they think about whether I need to forge weld on Wednesday or whether I should wait to Friday. If I can get my partner, if my partner can get the Friday off, which I don't know. Usually they can't at the short notice, but then they'd be able to help me. So I don't. I will. I guess Wednesday will be a surprise. We might be out in the carport and we might be back in here. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not very good at predicting how long things are going to take anymore, I feel like. I need to get better about it. Because, I'm never going to be able to do commission work unless I can consistently tell people how long things are going to take. Very important. All right, because it is so thin, we're going to be able to do another heat real quick, or a succession of heats really fast. Alright, so I think I'm probably going to do a couple more heats, and we'll probably end up doing the bit on Wednesday. I keep saying Monday. I feel like maybe I think it's Friday again. I don't know. Anyway, we're probably gonna have to finish this on Wednesday. I took too long trying to clean up the axe face or the axe jacket, so I apologize for that. I didn't do a very good job predicting, so we will see if I decide to do the coal forge on Wednesday or on Friday. We will still do my birthday stream on Wednesday regardless. Just because Wednesday is the day that I picked out for it. And, but yeah, I think I'll do a couple more heats and then we'll probably raid off. The Day of Odin, quite appropriate. Yes, hammers. So I'm not sure if it is in mythology or if I'm completely mistaken, but didn't Odin make Thor's hammer, or am I wrong about that? Is that just like a Marvel or something that makes me think that? I don't know. All right, let's do another heat. So we're starting to see this thin out a little bit. So not bad, not bad. We are getting a little bit of ridge there and there. So we'll have to come back and hammer that back down. But overall, I think we're doing all right. More heat though. MCU, Odin made the hammer. Norse mythology, dwarven smiths made it for Thor, and Loki interfered, so it had a short handle. Okay, that makes sense. I thought that it was the Marvel lore where Odin made the hammer, but I got confused because the dwarf made the axe, like Thor's axe, the one from, what was it? I think it was like Endgame or something. Maybe it was the one before Endgame. So I always get really confused because I'm not as familiar with Norse mythology as I am with like Greek and Roman mythology. And I mean, Greek and Roman mythology are kind of the same mythology overall. Romans stole Greek mythology and renamed everybody. All right. So I think I'm gonna do two more heats, and then we're gonna raid off. I'm gonna debate whether I want to continue with this bit, cut off a new bit from the lawnmower, or I will figure something out. We'll decide what I'm gonna do. So I think it will be a surprise as to whether we are forge welding or whether we're in here working on the bit some more. I think we'll probably just be forge welding, but I'm not positive on that. I haven't made that decision yet. But yeah, two more heats, and if there's anyone you'd like to raid that is still streaming, a lot of people were streaming earlier and then they stopped. But if there's anybody that you guys want to watch, let me know and I will raid them. Otherwise, I'll look through all our friends and maybe we'll meet someone new. Romans stole Greek and infected Norse. Sun, Moon, Tew, Odin, Thor, Frigg, Saturn. Yeah. The Roman Empire was very quick to steal things from other cultures, and then claim that they invented it. Alrighty, let's do our next heat. Alright, back in the heat. We'll do one more heat. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah. Weren't those also co-opted by the Roman Empire? I know for a fact that the Roman Empire decided to like steal days out of February and put them in like August and July. The days of the month are weird. But yeah, let me know if you guys want to raid anybody specific. Normally you guys trust me to do it. If there's ever anybody that, or any of the new people that we raid, that you guys don't like, or you know, they're problematic or anything like that, please let me know the next stream so that I can make sure not to raid them again. Usually, I think you guys, you know, I think we pick some pretty decent people, some pretty good ones. But if I ever just raid someone random and you don't like them, let me know, please. Alrighty. We're gonna do our last heat. And then I'm gonna take a cold shower. First, we're gonna raid though. Itchy nose. Alrighty, guys. That's all she wrote for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I had a blast. I hope you guys did as well. Thank you so much for your support, your continued support. Julius Augustus 9th month is September 10th. Month is October 11th. Month is November 12th. Month is December. Yeah. Thank you. Have a nice shower. Yes. I hope I have, you know, a nice shower. I will. Alright, guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I will see you on the Wednesday. Alright. trading today? We're gonna do some pottery. Merrimack mud again. See you on the flip side. Yes. Oh, you know what? I'm an idiot. I forgot to do the thing. So you guys are like looking at my shoulder. See you guys.